My favorite Weird Al song has to be Livin' in the Fridge. That's the one I had the most nostalgia for. Wait a second. No, another one rides the bus. I also loved White and Nerdy. Actually, what is up, Netflix fans? Welcome back to my channel. Weird Al Yankovic has a movie starring Daniel Radcliffe. Today we're going to talk about that movie. Is it good? Let's get into it. This film explores every facet of Weird Al's life, from his meteoric rise to fame with early hits like Eat It and Like a Surgeon, to his torrid celebrity love affairs and famously depraved lifestyle. First of all, this movie is rated TV-14. Nothing too bad, a bit of cursing every now and then and some insanely exaggerated situations, but it fits that to a T. It's a movie that you're going to want to gather as many people as you can around to watch it. Second of all, if you're here and you want to support this channel, the best way to do that is by dropping that thumbs up button down below and leaving a comment. What is your favorite Weird Al song? And oh my God, I had no clue what this movie was going to be, okay? When I first saw that original piece of marketing, I'm like, okay, it's a biopic. And it says in the summary, an unexaggerated story about the greatest musician of our time. But don't worry, it's not exaggerated. An instant success and sex symbol, again, not exaggerated. And living an excessive lifestyle that pursues an infamous romance that nearly destroys him. You read that summary and you're like, oh, okay. Well, maybe it's not a movie that is a pure biopic with some comedy in there. It's a comedy. It's a satire. It's an over-exaggerated, fantastical tale about the life of Weird Al Yankovic and the life that wasn't, but in this movie, it was. Eric Apple's our director here, a writer from Silicon Valley, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, New Girl, some great writing credits. The cast, obviously Daniel Radcliffe, Evan Rachel Wood as Madonna, Rainn Wilson as Dr. Demento, and a plethora of other massive stars that you'll recognize immediately, even though they're playing these fantastical characters. Okay, hang on. All right, the sun's out in full force. Let me close the shade. It's a lot darker in here now. It's like the Batcave. Rachel! I don't want to spoil the cameos or the reveals or really anything about where this movie goes, the twists and the turns along the way, where we end up, which was the most... I never in a million years could have predicted where this film ends at, where we are with Weird Al's character and this meteoric rise to fame that we get. Along the way, we see some wild things happen. A few moments that I was questioning, okay, could this have been something that actually happened? Regardless, the way it handles its humor here and playing on not only pop culture, but the idea of what Weird Al stands for and being weird, being different, but being someone who is fully aware that what he's doing is its own thing and it's something that you should not take very seriously, even though he is ridiculously successful in it. But this movie does the brilliant job of not taking itself seriously when we could have, even during his childhood that was semi-traumatic. You have a father who is on the level of what we've seen in other films before, very mentally abusive towards he and really towards his mother. He is not enjoying the path that Weird Al at this point is on. He's a closet accordion player. He's a kid who his father just wants to work at the factory with him. Dad, what's the factory? God, there's so many gags in this movie I could talk about for days. One that isn't necessarily a spoiler. Their friends throw a polka party, and the polka party gets busted by the cops. In the midst of that polka party, you realize that Al is not some normal kid. He has the skills necessary to take him to that next level, surrounded by great college friends. And I feel like there are snippets of Al's life in here. I'm sure he had a great group of friends in college that supported him, and they're so supportive that they encourage him to, get that record label, take this to the next level. And it's even stated in the film, well, success is not something that comes overnight. Well, you can probably see where that's headed, but I just thought the way that they played all of this up was brilliant. You see shades of the man Al actually was in the context of the most ridiculous, over-the-top, exaggerated, clearly satirical circumstances. We haven't had a great movie like this that plays on the cliches of another genre in quite some time. I thought Massive Talent earlier this year with Nicolas Cage did a nice job of that, but this is completely different because it's taking what we've seen even recently from musical biopics and turning them on their head entirely. There's even a scene where a bunch of celebrities are gathered at a pool party, and here's where you get some of those incredible cameos, and you see recognizable faces and names that we've seen in recent biopics. I thought that was a hilarious thing to do. And then seeing Weird Al walking around like, yeah, I'm better than you, and just the way that they go about it, and it's hilarious. I say the word hilarious, and sometimes I say it, and I don't mean it as much as I do right here. This is one of the funnier films I've seen in quite some time. Everyone is playing their part. Rainn Wilson gets so many lines of dialogue. I mentioned Evan Rachel Wood. I have to give kudos for her exaggerated version of Madonna. People were even asking, man, did this storyline, after seeing the trailer, actually happen with Madonna and Weird Al? The movie's doing a good job of convincing people. Evan Rachel Wood crushed it. But Daniel Radcliffe as this character is something I never would have guessed would have worked. The movie gets so crazy. They're talking about how he's the sexiest man alive and he's quadruple platinum in terms of how much he's selling. And, to imagine Daniel Radcliffe in that role prior to seeing this film, I'm like, I don't know if he could sell that. The mixture of swag, but also what he's actually doing and performing on stage. Can he do it? Yeah, he absolutely does it. And while singing, you hear Weird Al's voice, but it meshes together so well. It's believable, but even that is not the focus, right? The songs come from the circumstances. The songs get their moments and their scenes, but the focus is building up Al's life and telling it through this crazy lens that I never imagined this movie would tell it. The filmmaking is rock solid. It does exaggerate to a level in the third act. Like, it's exaggerating as we go throughout the movie, but the third act takes it entirely off the rails. Maybe even a bit too far for me. Obviously, it's going to be unbelievable, but it started to kind of stray away from that heart that we were getting in the first two acts, because as funny as it is, there's still a lot of heart there. It comes back home, it nails the finale, it nails the credits, and the song during the credits is fantastic. I mean, from start to finish, this movie is just a bomb of entertainment. It's everything I could have wanted from a Weird Al movie for the most part, and it works. It's not what I expected, but it's what I needed. How often do we get a good parody? Not only a movie that spoofs other films, but an entire genre. I feel like once or twice a year, if that. But this is one of those that I feel like will play just as good on rewatch and when you have to watch with a crowd. Listen, I'm going to get into my score. Before I do that, again, leave your favorite Weird Al song down below. What is your favorite comedy of the year so far? Weird, the Al Yankovic story, is one of the absolute funniest, craziest, and most unexpected movies of the year. It may not be factual, but the film embraces what Weird Al stands for and delivers a parody for the ages. Loaded with music and nonsense, the heart shines through, and my score is an 83%. I believe this film is one of the best comedies of the year, and there's so many good laugh out loud moments, but also moments where you're going to go, oh man, I want to give Weird Al a hug, or Daniel Radcliffe, or anyone in this cast. Thanks guys so much for watching. I'll see you soon.